Okay, well, now we should be going. So let's see this about the screen share here. Okay, just one final check. Can just nod it or type in if you can hear me. It's all good. You can hear me? Yes? Okay, great. All right, so the name of my talk today is Improving Sleep, and this whole thing was born out of my titanic struggles with sleep, which were so bad that I didn't even realize that I was experiencing insomnia or different types of sleep issues for a large part of my life. But at a certain point, about 3 years ago, it all kind of came to a head, and I started really having some severe sleep issues, and that was coinciding with my spiritual seeking. So that became quite intense and insane. So I started really getting serious about trying to figure out sleep at that point. And so let's see here. What I want to go over today is what is sleep, what is insomnia, some discussion of rhythms and how we can be more in them. And then probably the meat of everything is methods that I found that help. So there's discussion of light and its effect on sleep, some diet, nutrition, and neurotransmitter stuff, a whole bunch of stuff about lifestyle. And then I wanted to mention a couple things which are not directly sleep related, but I threw that in there because I think they're kind of cool. So there's a couple of little known therapies that people are using, doctors, MDs are using for depression that have been helping a lot and getting people out of it. So I'll just run through all that and then we can do a discussion. So all standard disclaimers apply. I'm not an expert, a doctor, auto mechanic, lawyer, or anything else. Please check with your professional. Don't walk out of the house without calling the police and so on. Okay, so what is sleep? It can be defined as a naturally occurring, shoot, let me make this bigger. This is ridiculous. Okay. There we go. Reversible, periodic, and recurring state in which consciousness and muscular activity is temporarily suspended or diminished, and responsiveness to outside stimuli is reduced. Otherwise known as checking out every night. The weird thing is that for all the study that humans have done on sleep, which is actually a vast amount and it's still ongoing, the medical book called the Encyclopedia of Sleep is 2,100 pages long and costs $1,900. So they're really doing a lot of work on this, but they haven't figured out one basic thing, which is why we sleep. One of the current hypotheses is that it allows the brain to make changes that it needs to make. But the fact is that we can get rest without sleeping. And so we still haven't really answered the question why we're sleeping, but we do know we need it. So not having sleep is called insomnia, and that can be briefly defined as being awake when you want to be sleeping. And more specifically, there are 3 types of insomnia, which for the sake of today, we'll say that if you're having 3 or more times per week any of the 3 following symptoms, then that can be defined as insomnia. So there's 3 types. One is onset insomnia, which is taking more than 30 minutes to fall asleep, even when you're tired. Second, maintenance insomnia, that's waking up frequently during the night and not getting back to sleep. So I define maintenance insomnia as waking up more than once to urinate. I don't mean you urinate every time, but if you just wake up once and urinate, go back to sleep and quickly get back to sleep, I don't consider that insomnia, but I consider 2+ times of waking up in the night as maintenance insomnia. And terminal insomnia, which is you sleep through most of the night and then in the early hours of the morning, say 4, 5, 6, earlier than you want to wake up, or you should wake up, you are waking up and then can't get back to sleep. So in my travels through the world of sleep, I've been actually experiencing all three of these at different times. And the onset insomnia, I've been able to get over with different techniques, which I will mention today, and maintenance insomnia as well. That one was really the most hellish one for me. And at the moment, I'm working a little bit with some terminal insomnia. So that's that. Or we could define insomnia as you are getting to sleep, but you're using sleeping pills, i.e. Pharmaceutical drugs or alcohol to fall asleep. Or you do sleep, but you wake up feeling not rested. So any of the above stuff can lead to a million problems, and we all know what they are. So one of the things I would like to do today is give you a lot of resources and actually provide a document afterwards with the resources listed in there. So you can take notes if you want, but hopefully most or all of what I say will be listed, including some presentations that you can watch from experts about the physiology of sleep and some other things which are really cool. So, okay, so it's all about the rhythm. That's what the deal is. Essentially, what we can say is that if we have a form of insomnia, then we are out of rhythm with ourselves, with nature, with our bodies, and so on. And the key will be getting back into balance or back into the proper rhythm. And these rhythms are many different rhythms. There's the circadian rhythm, means the 24, it's actually sometimes 25-hour rhythm that humans go through on a daily basis. But there's many other rhythms that our bodies are going through. We'll talk about a couple of them today. And all of these different cycles are happening. But essentially, the message here is that if we're having severe sleep problems, any kind, mild, medium, severe, then what that means is that we have gotten ourselves into that position through getting out of balance. So it will take some doing to get back into balance. So the cause is, as I just said, being out of rhythm. And the actual causes are, we're going to identify three main ones. First one is aging. The second one is our intake through our mouth. And then the third is everything else we're doing. So the good news is that 2 out of 3 we can directly change. Obviously, we can't change the calendar ticking away, but we can use the bottom 2 to help out also with the first one. So we can do some good things for the whole situation. So let's talk about briefly about the aging thing. So this is a screenshot or a graphic here of the amount of sleep that we get and how it changes. Oops, sorry. Over, they put the annotate button right next to the stop the screen share button. So this is the 24 hours of the day right here. And this is the age of the human being here across the bottom. And so what it shows here is that a 1-day-old human is sleeping for 16 days, and a 90-year-old human is sleeping for 16 hours. Sorry, a 90-year-old human is sleeping for 5.75 hours, and it just goes down. So this is kind of what we're faced with. Essentially, is that the sleeping time is reduced. This is obviously an average of people in studies. Individuals vary quite a bit, but this is kind of how it goes. for the average. Okay. All right, so diet. Diet is two categories. One is that we're not getting the things we need in, and second, we're taking in things which hurt us. And both of those we can change. We might need to do some special things to undo the damage if we've been doing this for years or decades. And lifestyle is all the ways that we live. I'm just including everything else in there besides diet and aging. So how we have our bedroom, how we run our life, the way we hold our mind, all this kind of stuff. I'm just lumping all that into one big category. So being out of balance with nature results in these kind of changes in our brain. These are for the negative. Gut changes, adrenal fatigue, psychological changes, anxiety, fear, depression, and so on. And that results in negative well-being and the quality of life going down. So rhythm is the problem and rhythm is the answer. So we talked about the circadian rhythm. Basically, this is the circa means around and dia means day. So it's the full day rhythm. And this is controlled by a part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is a group of cells in the hypothalamus that actually responds directly to the light and dark signals. So light or lack of same goes from our eyes to the SCN and signals us whether it's time to be awake or to be sleepy. This SCN or suprachiasmatic nucleus connects to the hormonal centers of the brain and tells the brain to release, for example, cortisol or melatonin or whatever we need to be awake or we need to be asleep. So one of the biggest keys to this is melatonin. So melatonin is a huge part of the sleep equation. You've all heard of it. And basically melatonin is controlled essentially by light. So let's talk about the light situation. So we have two needs for our light. Our body needs to be as dark as possible at night. So that's the first how-to right there, is to get our bedroom as black as possible. Dark, dark, dark. Really ruthlessly hunt down all the different light sources. I'll talk more about that in a little while. And then in the daytime, we need actual sunlight. So there's a few different types of sunlight that we need. One is to actually get at least 20 minutes of direct sun per day if possible, or at least 3 or 4 times a week. If we live in a place where there's not the sunlight, then there's another problem. But, and one of the answers to that is some people actually go into sun tanning beds just to get the sunlight on their eyes. Other people you can get the OTT light, OTT, OTT light, or light therapy boxes, which have the light that's identical to the sun. And then you shine that on your face inside your house. And so that is a huge assistance to it. So that's number one, is to actually getting the sunlight. Number two is the melatonin that we need to go to sleep is triggered in 2 different ways. The first way it's triggered is by having darkness at night. So that's not just the darkness I'm talking about in the bedroom. I mean the darkness that is occurring when the sun goes down before we go to bed. That darkness is what actually signals the melatonin to make us sleepy. So the darkness signals the melatonin, but there's a second melatonin signal which is happening in the morning if we're aware of it. So what that is when the moment that we wake up, if we can get sunlight within the first minute or two, on our eyes. That is what creates the melatonin. It's another thing that creates the melatonin trigger for that night. So if you're waking up after the sunrise and the sun is out, then one of the recommendations I'm going to make is that you actually walk outside and face the sun as soon as you wake up. There's actually a company putting out a light mask a sleeping mask that is designed to create better sleep and dreams and different things. And one of the things that they do is the mask recognizes when you're waking up, and at that moment it puts a light in your eyes to kind of simulate this sun thing. So if you can get 30 seconds to a minute of sun right when you wake up, that's a huge boost for your sleep, because that's the second. There's two melatonin triggers, as I'm saying. One is this sun going down and it's dark, it's time to get sleepy, so that is a signal. But the second one is that you've had this brightness right at the moment that you've woken up. So that's also very important. Okay, so 3 main tips then for the light. 1, we covered number 3 already. Number 2 is for improving your sleep, is to actually lower the amount of light that you're actually intaking at nighttime. Before the artificial lighting happened, people would sleep between 10 to 11 hours. Back in the 1500s, I think it was in the 1600s in Europe when they first started lighting the streets. And then from that point until now, light has become more and more easily available. And so what has happened is that before they were lighting the streets, people would just stay in at night, and they would sleep. And actually sleep was very different then. People slept in a different way than they do now. So there's 2 different light avenues I'm going to mention to you as far as this thing that we need to do to induce this melatonin signal so that our brain can actually do the right thing in sleep. In other words, our body was never designed to be awake all day and during the day, and then when the night comes, to be stimulated by light for another 4 to 6 hours and then just fall asleep. That's not how it's supposed to work, but that's what we've been doing. And so that's part of the problem. So one thing I'm going to recommend is that you actually lower the amount of light that you're using after, say, whatever time you want to start. You think for yourself when you're going to go to bed. We'll talk about bedtimes in a little while, but reduce the amount of light inside your house if you're inside. So turn lights down. So you can use less lights, or you can use dimmers, and or you can use light bulbs which have the right kind of light for the evening. GE has a light bulb called Align, which actually is better for nighttime light. So you can look for that Align brand of lights. So reducing the quantity of light. The second thing, though, is the type of light. So the 2 ends of the spectrum of visible light is blue at one end and red at the other. And that's how it works. Blue light is the stimulating light for our body and brain. And the red light is the sedating and calming light. And so in the evening time, it's very important to reduce the amount of blue light that we take in. So because if you just blast yourself blue light for several hours after, quote unquote, it's supposed to be dark or sundown or whenever, then we are building a situation where it's very, very difficult to sleep because the melatonin signal is not coming, and so we're wired to wake up. So there's a few different methods that you can use to do this. One is to be aware that one of the biggest sources of blue light is all these screens that we're staring at all the time. So the TV and the computer and the devices have a lot of blue light. Okay, the only one that really doesn't is your e-readers, like the Kindle or the Sony e-ink, the ones that just have the white and black or gray or sepia. They don't actually shine light at you. You're just looking at something that's light or dark. They don't have that kind of light. But anything else that's a device, i.e. an electronic device, has a high amount of blue light. And so I'm going to recommend, since we're all using our computers and stuff at night, that we get an app. Can you guys hear me? Hello.
Kathleen.
Yeah.
Kathleen, where are you?
Back.
She's in Paris.
Kathleen's in Paris.
Oh, no, you, Patricia is what I meant.
Oh, I'm in Washington State.
Ah, okay.
Where are you?
Denver, Colorado.
Oh, cool. I think he's back.
Sorry, it's the internet. Okay, so we lost this right around the blue light thing, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so there's an app called F.LUX. Please get it. It's available for computers and phones. And what it does, it allows you to actually still use the device, but turn the actual blue light down. It does that for you. You can do it on a schedule, or you can do it manually. The newest iPhones have that kind of thing built in. There's other apps out there that do it. But that is, you can actually, use the device. Now, okay, so I'm going to mention some techniques, and then I'm going to mention some couple of extreme approaches. All right, so these three things is just your basic approach to the whole thing. Now, if you want to get extreme, you can actually, in the evenings, like say the last 2 to 4 hours before bed, you can actually block all the blue light, okay? These are laser protection glasses, $8 on Amazon, and no blue light gets in, 0. So you want to wear, if you really, really need to sleep, I'm going to include the link in the information that I send you, then invest in these and wear them half an hour before bed, an hour, 2 hours. Some people just wear them all evening. And believe me, I just put them on. It's been about 20, 30 seconds. I'm feeling very relaxed right now. It's amazing what it does. So once you cut the blue light out, man, your body wants to go down. So this is a great little investment right here. Very easy, very sturdy. $9, $8 on Amazon. I'll send you the link. So one thing is, we have to get the light situation under control, or else no hope. It's not going to work. We can't make it work otherwise. Now there's an even more extreme approach. And my girlfriend and I tried this. It's very, very effective. You can kind of try to do a reset, which is in the evening, don't have any lights or devices for several days or weeks. Just turn them all off. Don't turn on your lights. Just use candles. It's extreme, but it works. After an hour or two of that, you just want to go to bed. You're just ready. So that's kind of like the far out, but it does work. It's our modern lifestyle, or our lifestyle period, that's got us into this situation. So we have to change something. So there's a kind of an extreme avenue. Okay, so moving on from light to diet. Okay, so before I get into the diet thing, we talk about the body and diet for a little while. First thing I want to mention is that one of the whole issues with aging is that the hormones change. And essentially what happens is that the good hormones reduce over time, and the quote-unquote bad ones, are the ones that we don't need as much of, start increasing. That's the hormonal milieu changes dramatically. And with men, at age 25 to 30, it starts going down gradually. And with women at a certain age, it just changes rather suddenly. But it's called menopause and andropause. But the thing is that I just want to say that I highly recommend having your hormone levels checked with a doctor that does bioidentical, let me underline that, bioidentical hormone medicine or anti-aging doctor / functional medicine doctor. I don't think that the mainstream hormone doctors have it right, but I've seen a lot of people get some help with the hormonal thing with that. So I just want to mention that. Okay. And one other quick thing here before we get into the diet stuff. So one of the things that happens with the hormones is our cortisol levels tend to get changed, especially if we've lived a stressful life and we are into adrenal fatigue. Then we all know about too much stress creates too much cortisol, which eats up the body. But there's also a condition which is low cortisol, actually, or reverse cortisol. That's what I was in. So essentially, my cortisol was cortisol what gets you up in the morning. Basically, it's what kicks your butt and say, let's go. It's a let's move type of hormone. And so if you don't have enough of it in the morning, then you don't want to go anywhere. So my cortisol was half of what it should be in the morning time, but then at night, it was 3 times higher than it should be. That's why at 3 o'clock in the morning, I felt like getting up. I felt horrible, but I still felt like, oh, I need to get up. And so I worked with a woman, I'm going to give you her name in a moment, who helped repair things. And she did that through a number of different tests, including a cortisol saliva test, which is normally the cortisol tests are done 3 times a day, but there's a 4 and 5 times a day option, which means you don't just do it at morning, noon, and night, but you also do it if you wake up in the middle of the night. You can do the cortisol test then. It's a saliva test. And so that helped me a huge amount because I saw it right on paper. It's like, wow, my cortisol is totally screwed up. And so I just wanted to mention those 2 things, bioidentical hormones and the cortisol testing. So for the diet, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I'll just quickly mention that the whole foods being the core of the diet is absolutely critical. We have to get enough protein. I know a lot of spiritual people have been on vegetarian diets for different reasons. And there are certain people that do well with the vegetarian diet, and then there's people that don't, and they get depleted. And so my savior, so to speak, or one of the key things to my sleep puzzle and health puzzle has been the Eat Right for Your Blood type diet. I'm a type O person, which needs a lot of protein and should not have many grains, or particularly gluten type grains. And so on the contrary, I was eating mostly vegetarian for over 20 years. And the guy that created the O-type diet says, or the blood type diet says, you can do all kinds of things that don't agree with the diet until you can't. In other words, your body can endure them for long periods of time, but then all of a sudden you can't get away with it any longer, so to speak. So protein is absolutely critical for most people to have the proper sleep and the proper mental health. The reason being because protein is composed of amino acids. That's all it is. It's just all kinds of amino acids jammed together. There's nothing else in protein. And the amino acids are the required things that our body needs to create the neurotransmitters, period. If we don't, have the amino acids, then we will not have the proper neurotransmitters, and then every problem is there. With our brain, it weighs 3 pounds, but uses 20% of the body's energy, which means that it's using energy at a rate like, 10 or 20 times more than the rest of our body is. It's just sucking up massive amounts of energy. And what it's doing is in the synapses between the neurons, it's sending neurotransmitters back and forth. That's the activity of the brain. It's sending neurotransmitters around. That's what makes us conscious. That's what the whole situation is. It's all the neurotransmitters. If we don't have enough, we're screwed. Our whole life is starting to go down. So the protein is critical. Now, if you don't want to eat meat, then I'm going to recommend right now a supplement called Total Amino Solution. So look that up. And if that's the exact name, it's a large bottle, white bottle with kind of a bluish white / black label on it. It's very, very high quality protein. It comes in pills. So you can take 1 gram per pill, you can take a few grams per meal, and at least get a substitute for not having the meat. I'm not telling you to go start eating meat, but I'm saying you have to have the protein situation under control. We want to check our food sensitivities. I found out a couple years ago only that I was diagnosed as a celiac when I was 6 months old. And then but I'm a lot better when I don't eat the gluten. So I've been gluten-free, on a very serious level now for a while, and it's helping. It's helping a lot. So check that out. Okay, so quickly running through some stuff that you already know, but I'll just mention it. Here's some stuff that really wrecks the sleep. The 4 horsemen: caffeine, sugar, alcohol, and tobacco are absolutely sleep destructive. Now, the thing is that we're all different. Some of us can do some of this and be okay. But if you're not okay, these are the areas to start looking. My recommendation is maximum of 1 cup of coffee that's finished before 2 p.m. It's probably better if you don't actually have any. Contrary to this marketing that's going on around now that coffee is healthy for you and we should all drink a lot of coffee, his latest thing is that coffee is important for health.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty soon they'll be telling you that Everclear is going to, cure cancer or something. But here's the thing. What happens is your brain is sending, there's 30 billion neurons, each with 10,000 connections to other neurons. And so at each one of those connections, there's a synapse, and they're all firing neurotransmitters back and forth at high speed, thousands of times per second or however many times. And so it's actually, when it's doing that, it's burning a lot of fuel, and it's burning ATP. That's the main fuel of the body. Then it becomes AMP, and eventually it burns down. These are different types of adenosine. Eventually it burns down, and the waste product of this burn, it's a clean burn, but the waste product is adenosine. That's what needs to get cleared out when you go to sleep. Adenosine is the garbage that's laying around. One of the latest discoveries is that we didn't even know this until a few years ago, or maybe even last year. During sleep, your brain cells shrink by 60%. So the spaces between the cells is larger, so that all the junk, the cells export their trash into the space between the cells. They're burning up, and they're throwing the adenosine out. Okay, it's a chemical reaction. They're throwing the junk out so the cell can keep alive. And so all the adenosine is gathering between the cells during the day. At night, the cells shrink 60%, and then while we're sleeping, all the adenosine is cleared out. That's why when you have brain fog, if you wake up and don't have good sleep, the adenosine is still there. Here's the thing. Caffeine blocks the adenosine receptors. That's the thing. You're still tired, but you can't recognize that you're tired when you drink the caffeine. That's the whole thing. It's blocking you from knowing that you're tired. So you're actually running on negative energy. That's the problem. Anyway, enough of my sermon. Okay, any energy drinks is a problem. Alcohol is a sleep enemy. Sugar is a major stimulant. It has 1,000 other problems. Also watch eating anything really spicy. That can keep you awake as well. And finally, as far as just general eating tips, watch when you eat. As far as the proximity. Now, some of us might need a small snack before bed, but I'm talking about dinner. Try to have your dinner completed a minimum of 2 hours before sleep. More is better. I mean, if you eat a massive meal, you would need more, but just a regular one-plate dinner, or maybe one plate and a dessert, the minimum would be 2 hours before sleep. Speaking of gut health, as we age, our body stops creating as many stomach enzymes, and it stops creating as much hydrochloric acid. So 2 supplements as you might want to look into is dietary enzymes. I use the ones from Solaray, and also HCl. I'll just type those 2 in here so you can. Dietary enzymes. I use the Solaray brand. And so yeah, look into that for digestion, because if you feel undigested, it can be difficult to go to sleep or to get good sleep. Okay, so let's move on from diet into specific nutrients that you can use for sleep. Okay, number 1 is check with somebody before you do this, but a lot of people are doing it without checking with someone. Melatonin is an amazing supplement. Our body produces less and less of it as we age, and we're also not getting the right light signals, as we covered. So melatonin has a lot of effects. Now, if you take melatonin, then say 30 to 60 minutes before bed, then you will get a signal that it's time to go to sleep. But for sleep maintenance insomnia, I'm going to recommend this kind right here by Now, the Now brand, which has a 2-stage release. So it releases some of the melatonin at the start and the rest of the melatonin later, so it helps you stay asleep. So it comes in 1 milligram, so you can titrate the dose easier. Okay. Melatonin supplement. Check it out. All right, magnesium is an absolute requirement for our body for about 600 different biological functions. And I've seen different figures between 50%, and then I've seen 80% of us Americans are deficient in melatonin. One of the things that, in magnesium rather, sorry. Magnesium is chewed up by high-carb diets, which most people are on. Magnesium is chewed up by stress. Magnesium is chewed up or is less absorbed by aging and so on. So magnesium supplementation can be very helpful. One thing people have used, I don't have it on this slide, they use this thing called Natural Calm. Very, very well marketed product because millions of people believe that it's great, and it does help. It's not the best form of magnesium out there, but it's good. One of the issues with magnesium is absorption. So if you take these non-chelated magnesiums like Magnesium Natural Calm, then which is a big powder in a canister, and you put it in your drink and it fizzes and it's got some taste and some sugar in there, and you drink it down, it gives you a blast of magnesium. I'm not criticizing the product. It is a good one. However, what happens if you take too much of it, you get diarrhea. And the diarrhea comes because it's not being absorbed. So it goes into your colon, and then it just pulls a lot of water in, and that's why you get the diarrhea. It's from the non-absorption of low-quality magnesium. Low quality meaning not the best kind. So you want to get chelated magnesium to avoid that. Because with chelated magnesium, you can take as much as you want or need, and you don't get the diarrhea, period. So the chelation is known. There's one company that's got the patent on the chelation. and it's called the Albion process right here. Okay, when it's chelated, that means it's already bound and it's going to go right into the cells properly. I'm just going to ask everyone to mute for a little while. Mute their mics, please. Okay, so if it has Albion on the label or it has TRAACS, T-R-A-A-C-S, that means that they're using the patented process. This right here is Doctor's Best Magnesium Glycinate. It also has some Magnesium Glycinate in it, which is, it's chelated with lysine or glycine. Anyway, this is a very good one. Magnesium Glycinate is excellent. Check it out. This is 240 tablets. It's $20 on Amazon. Doctor's Best. There's a slow release magnesium called Jigsaw by Jigsaw SRT. I haven't tried that one, but I think it's probably a really good one. There's a really good one also, but I think it's much more expensive. It's called Neuromag. Everybody please mute their mics. Katie, can you please mute? Hey, welcome to the session. Neuromag is only available by prescription, and it's also chelated, and it's a high quality one as well. But check it out, magnesium, very important. The RDA, by the way, of magnesium is 400 milligrams per day, and that is a laughing stock for what we really need. Okay, so, and by the way, you don't want to just go by the weight of the actual tablet. You actually have to check out how much elemental magnesium is in there. That's the actual supplement, because the rest of that is the carrier or the chelate. Okay, so each of these has 200. These are giant, things here. They only have 200 milligrams of magnesium in them because the rest of it is what it's bound to. So that's what you're looking for, is the amount of elemental magnesium, not the weight of the whole deal. So be aware of that. So next one is relaxing type herbs. So there's a number of these: Valerian, passion flower, chamomile, hops, skullcap, and so on. There's quite a few that are out there. You can get them individually or you can get them in formulas. This is a good one. This company, Herb Farm, is excellent. And this relaxing sleep formula contains valerian, passion flower, hops, and chamomile, and also catnip. There's lemongrass. There's, maybe 10 or 20 of these herbs. And your average formula will contain, 4 to 6 of them. This is one I use. You can find ones that work for you. They're also very good for relaxing and helping you sleep. So I would look into that as well. So essentially, you're going to end up with a collection of stuff. Magnesium can be taken throughout the day. Melatonin, you do not want to take it except right before sleep, unless you're on some kind of weird special plan, because it actually gives a sleep signal and resets your clock. So here's what you don't want to do. Let's say you stay up because you need to or want to or whatever really late, and it's like 2 a.m., now you're going to go to bed. Don't take the melatonin, because now you've reset. Now it's time to go to bed at 2 a.m. So that's bad. So every time you take melatonin, it's like a reset. So you want to take it at the same time every night, so you don't actually reset yourself into a weird sleep time. So there's a problem or a caveat with that. Oh, and I didn't mention, there's a great book called The Melatonin Miracle. So that tells about the massive numbers of health benefits with melatonin. Okay, so now we're going to get into the amino acids. And what helped me out a lot was contacting with this, this brilliant woman called Julia Ross, who wrote a book called The Diet Cure. And then she wrote a book called The Mood Cure. And she has run 7 different clinics successfully. She calls herself a nutritional psychologist, where they were addiction clinics and they were depression clinics. And they were getting people off of all of the stuff and onto health without using any drugs, but essentially using amino acids and other nutrients. Dr. Abraham Hoffer, who is the father of orthomolecular medicine, said that disease is caused by what we consume and health is the same. So essentially, well, orthomolecular nutrition says that there is a nutrient for every problem and they're all solvable without pharmaceutical drugs. I'm not getting down on the drug industry. I'm just saying that there's a different approach that this woman is using. And so I called the Julia Ross group, and she was like, the secretary is like, well, she's not seeing anybody right now, and she's writing a book, and so, but we'll refer you to somebody. So she referred me to this consultant who saved my ass, Karla Maree, nutritionist. Here's her phone number. She was trained by Julia Ross, and they have a very sophisticated approach. They do not do blood or urine or saliva testing. They do the testing with questionnaires. I'm going to show you the questionnaire. You can take the questionnaire on the web. Okay, so this is the questionnaire. I'm going to give you the link, or you can just look up Julia Ross Mood Questionnaire. And so you can take this right on the web, and you can get the book, and it tells you actually what to do. So you can do this on your own, or you can have somebody help. Karla charged me $80 an hour, and I only used her 3 times, which was an absolute bargain. So it's only $240, and I was in a very deep abyss when I found her. She found me. It took several months to start recovering, but it did work. Now I spent quite a bit more than that on supplements that she recommended, but I've always taken a lot of supplements, so that wasn't that unusual for me. So anyway, this is a big resource. And so the number one recommendation I would have, if you really have a serious mood or sleep problem, would be to get in touch with either Karla Maree or this woman, Trudy Scott, who has written a book called The Anti-Anxiety Food Solution, and she also does client work too. I don't have her phone number with me, but you can look her up. And there's an audio that I can include in the show notes that you can listen to by Trudy Scott, where she's teaching other consultants how to do this. These people know what they're doing. Through testing amino acids under your tongue and the symptom questionnaires, they're able to dial in what's going on more accurately than the tests, because the tests are actually all over the place. Okay, so having said that, I want to give you some amino acids to go on. And I don't have them in here. You're going to have to look at my Word document, which is right here. Okay, so, oops. Okay, so the neurotransmitter of transmitters of relaxation are serotonin and GABA. GABA is very important for sleep, and so you can actually take GABA if you want to. Some people are irritated by it. It works for other people. You have to try it. All this stuff you just have to basically try it. Okay, all right. So the next one here is kind of a pair. It's either L-Tryptophan or 5-HTP. Okay, so the way it works is you eat a tryptophan consuming food, and then the next chemical reaction is the body makes that into 5-hydroxytryptophan or 5-HTP, and then the next step is it makes it into serotonin, and the next step is melatonin. So I might have that partly wrong, but L-tryptophan is preferred because this is a mood thing, but it's also good for helping with the sleep because it's closer to food. Okay, the foods don't contain 5-HTP as much. So 5-HTP does work. You can try either one, but personally it irritated me and does irritate some other people. So these are two things that do the same thing, but the L-tryptophan is generally the preferred one. But if it doesn't work for you or doesn't agree with you, you can try 5-HTP. There are alternates. Okay. The next one is L-Theanine. L-Theanine is relaxing. It doesn't make you sleep, but it does relax you. I'm not going to put any dosages on here for these because I'm not qualified. But the dosages are in the book, The Mood Cure, or the Anti-Anxiety Solution. Now, there's also another great book, too. I'm going to put it into the slide here real quick. Okay, so that one is, this was back in 1987, this doctor had figured out, by Priscilla Slagle, MD. Amino acids to fix all your problems, essentially. So it's not specifically about sleep, but it is about amino acids, because they really are the name of the game. Okay, back to the Word doc. Okay, DLPA, I don't have the bottle with me, which stands for DL-Phenylalanine. Is not for sleep, it's for mood, so I'm just going to mention it and move on. A couple of others that are helpful for sleep. Glycine and Inositol. You can check those out. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can get these. You can buy them in the bottles, right, on Amazon or Vitacost or iHerb or whatever. If you want to, if you're into the cost-saving measures, you can, from the same places, you can order these things in bulk, which is like 1/10 the cost. The only thing is you have to get like eighth teaspoon, quarter teaspoon, half teaspoon measurements, so you know how much you're taking, which is listed on the back, how much each increment gives you in milligrams. It's different for every supplement. Okay. This one happens to be carnitine, which is not part of our discussion today. Carnitine is good for the heart. But anyway, glycine has, I have not tried that one, but I've heard good things about it. Inositol has been very helpful for sleep and for calming down, just being very calm. This was not planned to be part of my presentation, but I'm going to throw it in here. One of the best herbs for just any mood stuff and calming is Motherwort. I use the Herb Farm brand. Motherwort is fantastic. Motherwort is just calms you right down. There's also St. John's wort. I've heard good things and questionable things, so you can just try that one out if you want to. Again, not for sleep, but it's for the mood. But Motherwort is like a kind of a panacea for the mind and the emotions. Glutamine is listed here because it's one of the things that Julia is very big on, which is if you are having gut issues, it helps repair the gut and keep your blood sugar balanced. If your blood sugar is off, then you're in trouble. Oh, I forgot in the general section, also be aware of vitamin D levels too. Vitamin D diminishes as we age, and if we're not getting enough sunlight, then we're not getting the vitamin D. The best is to go out in the sun. Okay, clean up here. There's a supplement called ZMA. I've not used it, but some people say it helps them sleep. And you can also use essential oils that you put, say, on your forehead or under your nose or whatever, or on your pillow or in a sachet or whatever. Aromatherapy for sleep and relaxation. A couple good ones are lavender and valerian. So those can be very helpful as well. Or you can use a diffuser. Okay. That's enough on the intake stuff. Let's move on to the lifestyle recommendations, which I don't have on a presentation. So probably the most important thing is movement and exercise. When I'm working, I'm not a sleep coach, but when I'm working with my my coaching clients who mention sleep to me, I always ask them, well, how much are you moving per day? And most of the ones with sleep problems aren't moving much. So if you can walk 40 minutes a day, it can actually, vitamin E for exercise, it can really fix the situation for sure. The minimum recommended is 150 minutes a week. So just gentle exercise, just walking. Even better is yoga, tai chi, or qigong, 30 to 60 minutes a day. Very helpful. Okay, now, I mean, you've all heard that you should be doing stuff like that. I'm not going to pound it in, but I'm just going to mention it because it does make a huge difference. If you haven't moved enough, your body doesn't have enough whatever in it to rest. I don't know what the term is. Okay, so I'm going to move on to another thing, which is called earthing, which in the old days we call grounding. So what that is actually getting your bare body onto the dirt, meaning at least your bare feet. This is one reason why gardening is so helpful for every health problem, is because you're moving, you're out in the sun, and you're touching the earth, so you're getting a whole bunch of the sleep stuff and the health stuff all at once. But most of us don't walk bare feet on the ground. There's a book called Earthing, you can get it. It tells of the scientific studies they're doing, which show that the inflammation is greatly reduced when we're touching, getting the electron transfer between, I'm not talking about concrete or tar, I'm talking about dirt or grass, when our body is actually touching it. Now, as usual, we have a technological solution if we're not able or willing to do that. So there's something you can get called an earthing mat. Okay, you can get a sheet or a mat. This is what the mat looks like. Okay, so in order to have earthing, you have to have the electron transfer. You have to actually touch the earth. So unless you want to sleep naked on the ground, there's no way to really do that, except this guy, brilliant guy, figured this out. So every outlet in your home that's built to code is actually grounded. There's a little round hole called the ground. So you can get this mat here, and it has a 30-foot cord on it. And you plug this in. There's a little meter that you get when you buy it. You plug it into your outlet to make sure it's grounded and the electrician didn't do it wrong. And then you plug this into that little round hole. Okay? Plug that in. And then the other end of this cable is actually connected to this mat. Okay, this thing is about 2.5 feet long. So now you have an electron transfer happening between the earth and your body, because you're going to lay on this mat. Or you can use a sheet, like I said, which covers your whole body. You just need bare skin touching it. So what this is rubberized on this side, and then here, this is silk. Silk is conductive. It's not actually rubber, but it's something. I don't know what it is exactly. But anyway, you have this silk touching any bare part of your body, arm, leg, back, wrap it around your leg, whatever, and then you actually get the earthing. So many people are experiencing better sleep with the earthing mat or earthing sheet. What's next? Okay, so the next thing is I'd like to give you some yogic methods. Maybe that's good to do next, since this is a spiritual group, for sleeping. So the first one is the nostril dominance. So our body switches left and right nostril dominance throughout the day on a 90-minute to 2-hour schedule. And so it's just alternating left and right hemisphere. So when the left nostril is the dominant one, then we're in a relaxing phase. And when the right nostril is our dominant breathing nostril, then we're in a active phase. And this just keeps alternating day and night. So one of the issues is that if you're trying to go to sleep and your body's in the right nostril phase, it can be more difficult to sleep because you're in the active phase. So there's some solutions for this. One is sleeping on your right side. So there's a nerve underneath your arm that connects to the nostril. And when you sleep on that right side, that's actually cut off in a way. And it makes it easier for you to switch over to the left nostril being dominant. Another option is to actually practice left nostril breathing before bed. So you just block the right nostril and do that for 5 or 10 minutes. Very helpful. Okay, next one is that can really help you balance. You can do this in the morning, anytime through the day, or before bed, is to do alternate nostril breathing. So alternate nostril breathing is just blocking them in turn as you inhale and exhale. Starting always with a left nostril exhale. Left nostril exhale. Left nostril inhale, switch. Right nostril exhale. Right nostril inhale, switch, and so on. You always switch right after the inhale. Okay? So that helps balance the whole body and helps you sleep. It's just good to do that for like 10 minutes a day. All right, now there's other yogic stuff you can do as well, which has to do with, you can do relaxing, like a relaxing hatha yoga practice before bed, or you can do Dr. Andrew Wheel's, switch after inhale. Friend. So Dr. Andrew Wheel teaches the follow sleep breathing technique, which is 4-7-8, which 4 count inhale, 7 count hold, and 8 count exhale. While the inhale is silent and the exhale you make sound like. Now the issue with this technique is it doesn't work right away. You have to practice for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and build up. You have to do it for quite some time and train your body to do this. So it's not something that just works like immediately. I'm going to give you something in a minute that does. But it does work on a long-term basis. And in the show notes, I will include a link to a video where he's teaching how to do it. It's very simple. You just do 4 cycles of that before bed. Okay? You're just doing both nostrils. You're not holding anything. So inhale 4, hold 7, exhale 8. The idea is that when you're inhaling, you're activating the active part of the body. You're getting the body going. As you exhale, you're relaxing the body. So by having a double amount of exhale, you're actually signaling your body to be in a relaxed state. And it's very effective. It's also very good for anxiety and stuff like that as well. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. It's called Yoga Nidra. Nidra. So Nidra is a Sanskrit word for sleep, so it's yogic sleep. So this technique was not designed to get you to sleep, but it helps for that anyway. Yoga Nidra is a spiritual practice to put you in a deep sleep-like state while you're still awake. And therefore, You can do like, spiritual practices and stuff like that. So what it does though, is it gets you right next door to sleep. So if you don't want to do the practices, you can just do the Yoga Nidra and then you're likely to fall asleep because you're right there. So Yoga Nidra practice is a 61-point relaxation, which is very easy to memorize. And you just lay on your back in Shavasana, corpse pose, and you basically mentally run through placing your awareness at different spots in the body rapidly. So you just go from your third eye to your throat, to your shoulder, to your elbow, wrist, thumb, and so on. It's super easy to memorize because it just follows the body. And you can do that on your own, or you can get a CD, and I'm going to show you my favorite one, which is this one. I'll put it in the notes. Experienced Yoga Nidra by Swami Saraswati from Sweden. And I don't know if Christian is still with us, but he's from Sweden. So this is a great one. And there's a bunch of free ones also on YouTube, which you can check out. There's all kinds of different Yoga Nidras, but this guy's an actual Swami, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I will also send a handout with the 61 points, so you can have those. Another way to do it is progressive relaxation. So that is where you start at your toes and work up to your head, and basically you just tense each part of your body and release it. So you tense your foot, squeeze it really hard, release it. Tense your calf, squeeze really hard, and release it. Actually, you can do it like twice. Tense the area around your knees, tense, squeeze, 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 and relax. Tense your thighs, squeeze, 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 and relax. So do that all the way up the body, and that is an excellent relaxation method. I'm just throwing a shotgun out there because you obviously can't do all this, but the key to the sleep thing is you have to find the things that work. You have to find the things that work for you. Okay, I'm going to quickly run through a bunch of other stuff here. Sound waves. I've used those a ton. We have 4 different main brain rhythms: beta, waking; alpha, light relaxation; theta is deep relaxation; and delta is deep sleep. You can get the sound frequencies you can listen to that actually will put you into theta and delta. So I've used these for years. I'll send you a link to some. You can get apps on your phone which actually will play them. So that can be very helpful to actually help put you in a sleep state. Okay, that is the only other thing I want to cover is quickly about the bedroom. I'm just going to run right through this. As dark as possible. If you have those glowing lights on different electronics or whatever, the best is to get the electronics out. If not, I would put tape over those glowing, LEDs that are shining out into the room. I do recommend using a sleep mask. Even if it's dark, it can help. Okay. The next one is to have the bedroom cool and have some fresh air coming in. If it's too cool for you, then a hot water bottle that you're holding is good. In other words, what's better is to be cool in the room and warm in the bed. That's better than warm in the room. The room cool and warm under the covers. That's what you want. That's the best. Also, if you can keep EMF fields away from your body, at least 2 feet, like your alarm clock or radio or whatever, because that can mess you up. Kind of coming down to the end here. Okay, so let me quickly go over the depression stuff. All right, so here it is. So the little known method that the doctors are using for depression is ketamine. Ketamine is an anesthetic that's used for animals, and it's approved for depression. and you basically go to a clinic and get it by infusion. And it's expensive. It's like $500 a shot, but people are experiencing between a week to a month or more free of the depression after the first time. You have to keep going back. Some people kind of get over their depression basically for good after 4 sessions, but everybody's mileage varies. But I just wanted to mention about ketamine. I think it's about a 40-minute to 1-hour session. And then the other thing that's very little known about depression is using niacin to get over it. Vitamin B3. I'll send you some documentation on that. But a lot of people have gotten over their depression with niacin dosing.